Thomas Magill is on the red carpet for us.
Yes, absolutely. A very wet red carpet, I have to say. The rain's off at the moment, but I think everyone here is hoping it's going to stay like that. And you know, it's been a record year for the theatre industry. 34 million seats sold across the UK, generating over £760 million in box office sales for London alone.
Just to give you a warning, this report from Thomas Magill does include some of the recording, which you might find upsetting.
Police, what's your emergency? I've just been burgled.
The desperate 999 call from 77-year-old Maureen Whale moments after these three men fled from her cottage in Barnet, North London, last December. Police say the gang broke into two flats here minutes before, stealing Tiffany jewellery and other items before crossing this road, jumping over the gate and breaking into moorings through a back door. They then made off up Bells Hill towards Wood Street. A BBC London Freedom of Information request has discovered there's been 17 complaints against the IOPC since January. Out of those, 2 complaints have been investigated and partly upheld. Out of the rest, 11 are still being investigated. But time and time again, the same concerns are being raised, including the conduct of investigators, poor evidence gathering, the length of time investigations are taking, and in 3 instances there's been allegations of evidence being withheld. Well, everyone here has a story to tell about a friend or family member who has died, many of them saying they're still waiting for answers about what happened to their loved ones. And campaigners say that's because time and time again the government is continuing to let these people down.
Thomas Magill has been to find out what became of those ballrooms.
I'm dancing, me and you.
It's slippy. 1,500 people from the 3 South London boroughs use centres like this one in Waterloo for help. The charities say it took around £400,000 to run them. And according to Lambeth Council and the CCGs, that's now unsustainable. Hundreds of millions of records worldwide, media from around the world, and yet your story's a very London story, formed in West London. Is it nice that the world premiere is here in London?
Yeah, I think it's fitting.
Thomas Magill met some of those making their London debut.
Well, many here today are used to cycling in London, with some of them contributing to the estimated 730,000 cycle journeys made every day in the capital. The Mayor wants, of course, more of us to get on our bikes, but these campaigners are clear. Without investment from the government, more lives will continue to be lost. There were over 2,600 homophobic incidents reported in the last year. That's an increase of almost 15% on the previous 12 months. But perhaps more worrying, the figures show a sharp rise in July, when there were 296 attacks. And that's during the month when LGBT visibility is at its highest in the capital. But also someone who is possibly going to be here again this time next year is Kelsey Grammer. Good evening, welcome to the Olivier's in London.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Now, well, plenty of colourful pictures ending that report. And with me now is Alison Camps, one of the chairs of Pride in London, responsible for some of those logistical challenges we mentioned earlier there, but also for the security at tomorrow's Pride. And many, Alison, will be asking what's being done in the last 12 months to prevent a repeat of the protests from last year.
Well, OK, so the first thing to say is that the protests which were against trans people last year were absolutely abhorrent.
And that's it for this week's Inside Out.